Hello. Okay, I'm back today to actually share with you my tutorial on how to create my 8x8 coffee folio using Echo Park's coffee collection. So it is a large folio. It is 8x8 and it extends out to quite a bit. So if you open it all the way, it is over probably about 40 inches in length this way. So once it's open. So I'm going to walk you through step by step for each page. And then we will also make the box. Oh, excuse me. To hold the album in, or the folio in. And I will walk you through that as well. So let's start with the folio. You are going to need to have some chipboard. And your chipboard you want to cut at 2 pieces 8x8. So you want 2 squares, one 8x8, another one 8x8. You want 2 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 8, which are your spines, and then you want a 3x8, which is going to be your fold over cover flap. So those are the 4 pieces of chipboard that you are going to need. 2 8x8s, 2 1 1/4 by 8, and 1 3x8. You're going to need your cardstock cut at 10, 2 pieces cut at 10 by 12, and we're going to combine these two to make it one sheet. And I'm just going to use my art glitter glue. A thin line down here. And that wasn't very straight, was it? That's what I get for watching. I'm just going to not putting it over a whole lot, just barely adding it on the side. I'll wipe that excess glue off there, and I'm going to have to go back in and add some here. But I definitely got way off. Burnish it. I like to burnish it on both sides. Flip it back over. Okay, you will see on the bottom of my cardstock, I did score a 1 inch all along both pieces. That I use as my guide for laying down my chipboard. It's just a little trick I do. I know some use your ruler and hold your ruler in place. I have a hard time with that. Just doesn't work good for me. So I use a score line as my guide. So you want to go ahead and line up your chipboard. Now you do want to leave an inch on each side, and you're going to do an 8x8, and then you're going to do a 1 1/4 by 8, and then you're going to put your next 8x8 on, a 1 1/4, and then your 3. So as you can see, I really don't have an inch on each side on each side, so I'm going to move this over just a little bit. I'm going to go with less than an inch on this one, but I'm going to be all right with it. I don't think I need to move it over that much. Let's see. Okay. All right, let me get my score tape. I'm going to be using my 1 1/4 score tape for it. In the middle, actually, I did not. I used the 1 1/8 on this one. Now, I don't have it down here with me, so I'm going to use the 1 1/4. But I did use the 1 1/8 on that, I believe. Okay, so I already backed my chipboard with my score sheets to make it a little bit easier and to not make you wait while I put adhesive on all my pieces. So I'm just going to line it up, match it up to my guide line there of my fold. And I have my 1/4 tape here between the two. Just line it right up there, coming down, matching it up to my score line. Good place to get this off there. Definitely not going to give me enough room. So I am going to cut another piece there and add to it. When I used the 1/8, it gave me more room, and obviously this didn't, so that's all right. So I'm just going to cut a piece of 5 by 10 off on this one. You didn't need the 5 inches, but I just cut it at 5, so. Because that's right on the seam, I didn't get it over far enough. And again, I probably should have added this extra piece before, or went with the 1/8 tape. I'm going to go add a piece of score tape there just to help hold it when I go to fold it over. So I don't need all this excess here, so I am going to cut it off and kind of a waste of paper, but I still can use it, so it's not like I'm not going to use, it'll be wasted. All right. corners. I do use the art glitter glue for the edges, but I add my score tape here just to make sure that it catches and it's a nice clean fold. Art glitter glue along the seams to help loosen it up, soften it up a little bit so when I fold it over. Now this one, because I have the seam binding here, or the score tape here, because of that seam, I'm just adding the glue here. And even though it wasn't a full inch on the edge, it still worked. I was still able to cover it. As you notice, so I did cut my corners too close here. So I do have a little bit of an opening there, but I can take care of that here, and I did it on the same thing on this one. So. So what I did was just cut a little triangle like that, and I'm just going over here and gluing it on, because when I put the other paper on top, you're not going to see it. So now, if this was black paper, I wouldn't worry about adding the triangles. I would just take a black felt Sharpie marker and color it in, and you'll never know the difference, trust me. All right, so I'm just gently rubbing this and kind of folding it over so that this here, this score tape that I put in between my hinges catches onto that paper and holds it. And gives it a nice clean fold. Okay, and then there you go. Okay, so cut this at 7 7/8. This is going to be our inside to cover the inside of the folio. I have to run up and go get another piece of paper. I am, since I cut that wrong. I'm going to put you on pause, and I'll be right back. Sorry for the wait. I'm sorry I had to run upstairs. My white paper's upstairs because I didn't bring it down with me, and I'm down in my basement. So if you're hearing something kicking on and off, that's my sump pump. Since we had 6 inches of snow over the weekend and then rain yesterday, so it washed away all the snow and ice that we had, because we had about a ½ inch of ice on top below the snow, and so my sump pump has been working overtime. Okay, I'm just going to cut. This is 12, so I'm going to cut it down to 11 because I don't want that much of an overhang on that. So now I use score tape when I am putting my paper on here because I don't like to see the glue. I just want to make sure it's down good since I am putting multiple layers of papers on top of this when I add my pages and my flaps and that. So I do use score tape. Some people still use glue. I'm just not comfortable with it. I like knowing that my paper is down, and when I add to it, it's not going to be pulled on with the added weight on top of it. So I do add mine with score tape. And I am using the 3/8 score tape right now for this. All right. Again, I apologize for all the noises that you're going to be hearing here. For some reason, the basement picks up everything that happens in this house. Okay, so for this, how I do it is I remove my middle strips, and I go across this way 3 strips, because when you put it in here, if you're going up and down, it's not going to catch here in between your spines. So when it's this way versus this is up and down, this horizontal, this is vertical, it's going to catch. So what I do is, this is where I want to go, is I'm just going to line it up here. And then I go ahead and make sure those are stuck. And then I just pull up and then again, I just gently run my round edge of my bone folder in there. And that way it's catching that paper. And it makes a nice clean, I don't know if you can see that, clean edge. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with the other piece. And I just match it up to where I want it. And as you can see, by when I lay this down, those little triangles that I use to hide my mistake in the corner, it covers that up, so they're not going to pop up, and you're not going to be able to see that I corrected an error. Okay. So And again, I'm going to gently rub it in, get my paper caught so it catches and it gives me a nice clean fold. And there I have it. Now, if you don't have a class like I used online, and again, like I said, these were in my stash, and I think I bought them at Hobby Lobby, but I bought them over in where you have the wood pieces that you can buy. So that's where I got those, I believe. I'm not real sure, but I think that's where I got them. So you can also put magnets here, and you don't need to have that class, okay? So, all right, let's get started with the pages now. So on the page, I'm going to call this page 1. So the front cover inside, you're going to want to cut cardstock. You're going to want to cut a few pieces. So you're going to want one piece that is going to be 3 by 8.5, and that's going to be your flap to hold everything down. You're going to score it at a 1/2 inch here on the edge. So let me go ahead and do that. So this is 3 by 8.5 on the 8.5 side. You want to score it at a 1/2 inch here. And you're going to fold that over. And we're going to find the middle. This is 8 inches. So I'm going to eyeball it just for time's sake. But you can measure it. So you wanted 3 and this is 8. So you're going to go 2.5, 2.5 to be on the center. Add my glue. Like I said, I'm just eyeballing mine. Now, mine is a little bit longer, but you can trim it if you need to. I think I might have rounded off my corners on the other one, and so it fit perfectly, but you can trim that. So, then, for the inside, you're going to need I don't think I cut the pocket. Let me see here. Go back and look what I did here. Okay, I see what I did. Next, you're going to want a piece cut, a cardstock cut at 8 by 8.5, and this is going to be your top flap. And you want to score it at a 1/2 inch along the 8.5 side. You're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. Miter your corners on this one. line it up. That's going to be your fold over there. Okay. That's your flap, your first flap. Next, you're going to want cut a piece of cardstock that is 8 by 9.5, and you want to score it at 4.5 and at 9. So you want to put your paper in at 9.5 long, score it at 4.5, score it at 9. And then fold it over. Okay, so you're going to have your 1/2 inch flap here. You're going to fold it this way, and then you're going to go ahead and miter your corners on this just a wee bit. And we're going to add this flap like this. You're going to add it to your 8.5 piece. Okay, your 8 by 8.5. So you're going to actually add your flap just like that. All right? So I'm going to turn this a little bit. Get my paper up here. Match it up. So this opens like this. Okay. Next, you're going to get cut a piece, a 4 by 9. You're going to score it on a 1/2 inch on all 3 sides. This is your pocket. Then you're going to miter it down. Score all 3 sides, 1/2 inch, miter your corners, fold it over, and there's your pocket. And you're going to open this, and you're going to add your pocket right there on the flap. Okay, so you have this, and then your pocket's going to go right here. And just line it up. Don't line it up to that seam right there, and not over that seam. Otherwise, your pages are not going to lay flat. Go ahead and so there's your pocket. This is going to fold over, and then it's going to open this way and then flip out. Okay. Now, for tutorial purposes, I'm going to go ahead and add this, but you should not add this until after you have your pattern paper on here, because this is just a tuck pocket. I don't have the added 1/2 inch on each side like I did on the other pocket. This is just a tuck pocket, and again, don't add this on until you've added your pattern paper on here. This is 1.5 by 8, and it's a tuck pocket. And I will have all the cutting guide. I will add the cutting guide to the video, to the bottom of the video. So But like I said, this is just basically for tutorial purposes only. If I was going to be using this, I would not add this on here until I added my paper, but I'm just doing it as a tutorial. So, and I'm just going to match it up there. So that is your tuck pocket right here. This is the pocket I'm talking about right here. So you want to add your paper before you add this pocket. Same way with inside here, these pockets here, you want to add your pattern paper before you add these pockets on. So I'm not going to show you that because I don't think I cut, did I? I don't think I cut them. Let me see. No, I didn't, but let me tell you what size they are. So, these are, let me get the ruler right. These are 3.5, 2 3/4. So let me go ahead and cut those for you, and I'll just add them on, just so you can see. So again, these pockets here, like I said, you want to add your pattern paper on before you add these pockets. But for tutorial purposes, I will go ahead and put them on here. And all I did was they're 3.5 by 2 3/4, and you just line them up on. I just add glue to 3 sides. And then you have your pocket. Go ahead and cut another one off here. And there's your pockets there. Okay. Same for inside the back page. This is a little tuck pocket. Again, I didn't add to keep all the bulk. I just made the tab, so I did it like an 8 by 1.5, and then I just added a heat glue to 3 sides, and again made a tuck spot pocket. Okay. Now, before you do that, you do want to add your other ones. So I'm going to pull that one up, but I just want to use that for. Okay. So we're going to do. Okay, for these flaps here, this one and this one, you're going to need, oops, 2 pieces of cardstock cut at 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. You're going to need 2 cut 4 by 7 1/4, 4 1/4 by 7 1/4, and 3 3/4 by 7 1/4. So you want 2 of each of those, okay? And you're going to score 1/2 inch on each of these. So you want to score 1/2 inch on 4 7/4 and 4 1/4, okay? The piece that is 3 3/4 by 7 1/4 do not get a score on it. So your 4 1/4 piece is your bottom flap on this. And again, I'm going to miter my corners. I'm taking that back, guys. I gave you the wrong measurements. Hold on a minute, just a minute. 3 3/4, 3/4. Okay. So you should have 4 7 1/4, 4 1/4 by 7 1/4, 3 3/4 by 7 3/4. And you are gonna score that. So you are gonna score your 3 3/4 by 7 3/4. On the 7 3/4, you want to score it at 1/2, which is going to give you your flap to add it. You're going to add the 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. You're going to score 1/2 inch, miter the edges. You're going to add, this is the bottom to your 3 1/4, so you want to go ahead and add that here. Put it on the bottom like that. Okay. Your 4 by 7 1/4, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch along the 7 1/4 inch. Miter your corners. This is your top flap. You're going to add it to the top of that. So this is what you should have right now. Get that out of the way so you can all see. So your 4 by 7 1/4 is your top. Your 4 1/4 by 7 1/4 is your bottom. You've got your 1/2 inch score line here. Then you're going to come in on your 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. You have it scored at 1/2 inch. Miter the corners. And you're going to add it right here. That seems like it. So this comes up, this comes down, and this folds over. And that is, and it folds over like that. You're going to add a magnet here to hold that down, or you can add ribbon as well. So this is the bottom goes up. This comes down. Alright. Then you're going to adhere these to your book on that flap. And what I did was I came right up here to the very top and matched it up to the top in this seam. Okay, there's your first one. That's going to flip over that way. I'm going to flip back over this way. And then on the back of this, I did add a little faux pocket as well. So 3 3/4, probably by 2 inches. And then added just make your little tag for it. Okay. So let me make another one. Here is my tab pockets. So there is, again, don't add these until after you've added your cardstock, because these are going to be a faux pocket. So you're just going to add your glue adhesive around the 3 edges. So you want to do that after you've added your pattern paper. Now I'm going to do it just for tutorial purposes here. Okay. Cut another 3 3/4 by 7 3/4. I messed that one up. And we'll do that again and make our second one. So you're going to, this is your 3 3/4 by 7 3/4. You're going to score it a half an inch. Flip that over. You've got your 4 by 4 7/4, which is your top. Right of that. Add your adhesive. And that's going to go up on the top. Your 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. Scored a half an inch. And add it to your bottom flap. Next, you're going to want your 3 3/4 by 4 1/4 with your half an inch score. Miter the corners. Add your adhesive. And you're going to add it right there to your bottom flap. This folds up. This folds down. This folds over. You have your flap here. Now, because I added this on, remember I told you not to add on that envelope until after, so I'm going to just lift that up. And again, I wouldn't do this on my real folio. This is just for tutorial sake that I pulled it up, because it's definitely going to make a mess if you leave it there. Right. So I'm going to fold that back over. And now I add my glue back on my pocket. Alright. Alright. So again, you want to add a magnet here, or some type of enclosure for you. Fold that over, and then we're going to add our pocket over here, and our pocket is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4 is what I did it at. So again, don't add this on until after you've added your pattern paper, and that's just going to fit right up there on there. And then I've got my 2 pockets. So that is the front page, front inside cover. So you've got your 2 flaps, then you've got your back part of it with a pocket, a faux pocket. You've got your main flap over here, your 2 small faux pockets, your pull out, which you have the 2 sides here, 2 sides here, and your pocket here on this. This folds back. You will add a magnet here and put a magnet down there, and it's going to hold it all together. So let's work on the back part of it now. On your back, this is all flaps. So, get my mess here picked up. So you're going to have your belt, you're going to have your smaller flap, a smaller flap, a larger flap, a smaller flap, a larger flap, and then 2 pockets. Okay. So your belt is the first thing you want to put on. You're going to cut this 3 by 8 1/2. Again, you're going to score in half, and that is what you're going to attach it to at the top. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So I am turning this upside down just so I can see it. Eyeball it. I'm going to eyeball it for the middle and attach it. Okay. Back around. So you're going to need a 4 by 8 scored at 1/2 inch at the top, and you want to miter it. So you have a 4 by 8, you scored 1/2 inch at the top, miter your corners, and add your adhesive. is going to fit right here. So you want to put it right up at the top. Right up above. And I went over. I did. I need to turn it over this way and do it from my end. Okay, there. Okay. So that's your first flap. This flap is going to have a little faux pocket on it that you're going to cut 1 3/4 by 8. You do not want to add this on until you've put your pattern paper on here. But again, for tutorial purposes, I'm going to go ahead and add this so you can see. So you don't want to add that until after you've added your pattern paper, because otherwise you're not going to get your pattern paper down in there, because we have put glue on all 3 edges. But just for the tutorial, I am doing it. Okay, so next you want another pocket, and this is for the back. And this one you're going to cut at 2.5 by 9. You're going to score on all 3 edges 1/2 inch. You want to come over and miter it. Miter all your corners. Fold your score lines over. Add your adhesive. And again, I'm going to turn this around just so I can see it. You want to add this pocket right there at the bottom, but don't go over that seam, because you want to be able to fold this over. So there's your pocket there. And I did, you'll notice on all my cuts, I gave you the cut, like the 2.5 by 9, but I did use a border punch on this. So it does make it look a little bit shorter. Okay, so your next piece is going to be 5.5 by 8, scored at 1/2 inch at the top here. You want to miter your corners. And you're just going to lay that right on top of this 1/2 inch here, tab that you used, okay? That's going to go right there. And again, I'm up doing it where I can't see. So, okay. Next one is going to be a 6 by 8, 1/2 inch at the top, score, miter your corners. And you want to put that right up there on top of that one. So you've got your 4 and 8, 5.5 by 8, and a 6 by 8. And those are all going to be your flaps that go up on top. Now for your bottom flap, you're going to, your first one you're going to put down is going to be your 5.5 by 8. And that's going to go down first. And again, it's a 1/2 inch score line. And that's going to go right down here at the bottom. Your next one is going to be a 6.5 by 8. Scored a 1/2 inch at the bottom. Miter your corners. Add that right on top of the other one. Okay. So this is going to cut, your two top flaps are going to come down. These are going to go up, and then your top flap comes down, your belt comes down. You are going to add a magnet here and a magnet here at the very back page, right here. Now, on mine I added the pockets, and the pockets are 3 5/8 by 2 3/4. And again, you don't want to put them down until you put your pattern paper down, because these are just faux pockets again. So to keep the bulk down, and you're only going to adhesive on 3 sides, and you're going to put two of them down here. So 3 5/8 by 2 3/4, and again, like I said, don't put them down until you have pattern paper on the back, but I'm doing it just for tutorial purposes. Okay, so those go down, this one comes up, this one comes up, that comes down, and there you have it. Now, I did do a faux pocket over here, and I think I just used a piece of scrap paper, so it's 3 inches, and I think I did like 1.5 inches there on that faux pocket. The tags, again, are just ones that I made. I don't really have measurements for it. I just basically made sure that they fit inside the pocket. So this is, let's see, this one is 2.5 wide, so that's more than enough. Okay, and then again, I did a pocket over there. Okay, and there's our album. Now, let's move on to making our box to hold this. Okay, so my box is 8 by 8, okay? I'm sorry, my album's 8 by 8, so my box is 8.5 by 8.5. 8 3/4 by 8 3/4, sorry, because I wanted to give it that extra room. So, for the purpose of the tutorial, I am making the box exactly the same as I made this one here, but I am making it in a 6 by 6 because I have a project that I need a 6 by 6 in, and so I figured I would, why make another big box when I really don't need it, so I'm going to go with a smaller box, just for tutorial purposes. So, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock, or chipboard, I'm sorry. Chipboard, the same exact size. So for the big box, you're going to go 8 3/4 by 8 3/4. So 2 pieces of 8 by 3/4 by 8 3/4. Then you're going to need 4 pieces of chipboard that are 2 inches by 8 3/4. Okay? So again, for my smaller box, I have a 6 by 6, a 6 by 6, 2 inches by 6 by 6. Alright? So one is the lid, and we're going to do the lid first just to get that out of the way. So I'm going to tell you what I did to make this a little bit easier. I cut a piece that is 7 by 7. And again, remember my chipboard is a 6 by 6, so I'm going to go a 1/2 inch. I'm scoring a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Okay. And my chipboard's going to fit right in the middle. That's perfect for that. So I'm going to, because this one is a smaller box, I am going to use my art glitter glue and versus my score tape, because being that it's a small area, my glue won't dry as fast, and I can do this. So I'm going to set that right in there like that, right inside the boxes. So I have a 1/2 inch on each side of my edges. So I'm going to cut this just like I would my albums, corners, and hope and pray I don't cut too short. Okay, so that's what I have now. I'm going to take my glue and run it along the edge of the chipboard and then up over. So I can turn this over. We'll do that on all 4 sides. Okay, so that gives me my top. Then I cut a piece of cardstock that is 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, and this is going to be the inside. So before I add this on here, I want to add my ribbon catch there. So I'm just going to take a piece of seam binding and cut it. Fold it in half. Add my glue. glue on this. Ugh. Okay, so there's my lid, or my cover, my box cover, with my little ribbon to pick it up with. This is the inside of it, which is going to be covered with pattern paper. This is the outside, which will be covered with pattern paper. Now, that's the lid, so we're done with that for right now. Let's go ahead and start our box. So you've got your 6 by 6, you got your 4 2 by 6, or for the bigger box, it's 2 by 8 3/4. Alright. Then what I did was I went ahead and using my cardstock, I'm going to make strips to adhere my box together. So you just take a piece of your 12 by 12 and score down 1/2 inch all the way across on 12 by 12. These happen to be, I cut them down because I needed 6 inches. So these happen to be scrap paper, so I went ahead. And once you've scored them every 1/2 inch, you're going to cut them at 1 inch. So you've got a 1 inch piece of strip of paper that has a score down the middle, which becomes your strip to connect your box together. So I'm going to just score this at 1 inch all the way over to get my strips. And again, this is it's great to have these done ahead of time. And I usually do it with one sheet of 12 by 12, score every 1/2 inch, and then I come back and I just move it to 11 to 10 and cut it every inch to make it a 1 inch strip. So we're going to get started with these that I have already cut. Can't remember if I made extras or not, so. So, my 6 inch strips at 1 inch are fit on this. But because I want a clean edge, I'm going to miter them down. Just miter each edge a little bit so that they're going to look like this. I'm going to add glue to one side. And I'm going to attach it to my box. Going edge to edge with this chipboard and the paper. I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. Now I'm not cutting a whole lot off the 6 inch, I'm just mitering it to give it a clean surface there, alright? So go ahead and add my adhesive to this one. And like I said, I'm adding it all 4 edges, matching corner to corner with the chipboard. My edges corner to corner so they're not going over. One more. Corner. Okay, so I've got all 4 edges done. Now I'm going to take my 2 by 6 and I'm going to go and add my adhesive to this piece of strip. On this one though, I'm not going to butt it all the way up like this. You don't want it butted, you want it spaced. You want it to be able to bend up. So the rule of thumb is about 2 pieces of chipboard right there that can slide right through. So you want to leave room so that it can, well, you gotta let it dry first before you try to move it. You want to leave that space at least 2 chipboard thickness there. Alright, I'm going to go back and make sure this is down. Okay, so you can see the strip, so that way I can bring it up. Alright, if you do it flush, you're not going to be able to raise it. So you want to do the same thing on all 4 sides. Is just add your adhesive, add your chipboard, leaving that space, and then you want to match it corner to corner. And not do what I'm doing by moving it around. Corner to corner, leaving that space. So now I can go ahead and build my sides up for my box. And what I do, this is 2 inches. You do it, I usually just come up here and double check. Over here. Yep, 2 inches. I didn't cut them any longer, so I'm just going to cut my strips at 2 inches. And you're going to need 8 of them. So if you want to cut them, go ahead and get them cut. So there's 6. There's 8. Now, fold them in half. And then what you want to do is you want to measure them. So you don't want them to come over the top of that, which I'm going to be good at. So I'm going to add glue to both. Now this is, I folded my seam inward, okay? My score line is in, so I'm adding my glue to both sides of my thing. And I didn't do this. And I'm going to throw that one away because I'm going to start over and show you. Make sure you slightly taper your ends just for a cleaner look. Okay, you don't want to cut off the length, just bring it up a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add glue to both sides. I'm going to bring my 2 corners and meet them up. And hold it there for a minute till it grabs. And can you see I'm adding that? Go ahead and prepare your next one. Making sure that you have, it's not going to come over the top. And I'm just mitering this corners there. Adding again adhesive to both sides. Bringing my two corners together so they are snug, and adding my little strip there. And just holding it so the paper grabs. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the other one done. Alright. Again, bringing my two pieces together. This one. This one's going to be a little bit difficult. Alright. Okay, and the last one on the outside. Sometimes it's good to get one side here and then adding the other one. Okay, so taking the last four of the ones that you have, we're going to reinforce it now. So you're going to do the same exact thing, but we're going to do it on the inside. And in the inside, you're going to use the score with the valley up. So you're going to, what I do is I come in here to the seam right here, and I add a little bit of glue just to help enforce it there in the seam, okay? And then I take and I add my adhesive to both sides again with the score side up, and then I'm going to add it in here. And I'm just going to put it right in the, so it's support in the middle, like that. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to take my strip, just miter it a little bit so I have a clean look and it's not boxy at the ends. So this is the valley, this is the mountain, mountain side up, add your glue, then add your glue in here just to give it some extra support. So you can see all four corners have got the support in them. Strip support in them. Now you want to do the same thing for the bottom. So 6 inches. Now you're going to have to cut these down because they're not going to fit right at 6. So you want them just not too snug, but snug enough that you're covering them. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to add your glue along the seam just to add a little bit of extra support. Mountain side up, add your glue. And fit that score line, score fold right in the seam. So just take your bone folder and score it in there. And then I'll bring this one up and score that one down. So you're giving it a clean look and plus support. So your box is going to be a lot more stable. Let's see if this is... add my glue to my seam just to give it a little bit more strength. And then I'm going to add this right in there, my score line right into the seam. Use your bone folder or your nail, get it down in there, and then I come back with my bone folder. Making sure it's all down. Alright. Next one, I'm going to go ahead and add my glue. Okay, so there's our box. All four corners, sides, and bottom are all strengthened now with extra support, and your box is a lot more sturdier. Now, so we've got the lid, and the lid's going to fit right on top, but this doesn't look. You don't want to leave this, so you want to clean this up. So what you're going to do is taking your strips as well, is you want to cover those to give it a nice clean look. And again, you're going to have to cut these to size. see if I did this with. All right, right on. And it won't come just a smidgen, not much. Okay, so on this one, what I do is I only do one side here. I glue the one side, mountain, score line of the mountain up, put this on here, and I do the inside first. And then I'm gonna just get the adhesive down on there. Okay, then I'm gonna take my bone folder and score over the top, because I want a clean look. Alright, and just then I come back and I'm going to add my adhesive to this side. Fold it over. Again, just I'm going to cut a couple more of these because I need 3 more. Ladder my edges. I'm going to measure it. Nope, too long. So I'm going to take a little bit more off. Alright, perfect. Alright, so I'm going to, one side of glue, which is going to be my inside. Put it on here. Back and take my foam folder and run it across the top so it's smooth. Turn it over. Add my glue. Perfect. And the last one. There you go. Now we are finished with constructing our box. So, you can see it's very well sturdy. Now, you don't have to put cardstock on here. I did just because I didn't have the pattern paper. But this gives you your border. So you would just cut your pattern paper at 1 7/8 and by 5 7/8 and just stick it right on here. And then it's going to be inside and out and on the bottom. And you don't have to add any more cardstock to it. Now to add our lid. So our lid is going to be, and I'm going to use the Tim Holtz brands or hinges, and I'm using the smaller ones. And so I'm going to need to mark these on where I want them. So I'm going to put them on the top first. My pencil. Crocodile. Mm-hmm. Now on the bigger box, I did use the bigger hinges. These are just the smaller hinges, but I wanted to go ahead and use them to show you how awesome they are. Now, normally, and I'm going to do this because the crocodile is just too hard. I'm going to go ahead and just use a poker and poke a hole in it. So that way I know I'm even with it. Alright. And then I'm just going to add pattern paper to that, and that will cover up those hinges, or those brads. So I want to come and I want to mark, I'm going to get this on right. I want to mark where I want the hinges. And I'm just going to use my poker on it. Go ahead and add my brand. Alright, there's one. Okay, so there's my lid with the hinge. That one will have to come down a little bit more, but I'll work with it, and then I'll put my feet on it, and then I'm complete. So there you go. If you have any questions, feel free to PM me, send me an email. I'll be more than glad to answer any questions you have. Again, I want to thank you for spending the time with me, and hopefully you enjoy your photo album, and box if you make one. Have a great day. And again, everything we used, chipboard, artesian cardstock, Tim Holtz hinges, and score tape, art glitter glue, can all be purchased at countrycraftcreations.com. Have a great day.